Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for Iron Man issue 1, and I really enjoyed this one. I was really looking forward to seeing how this new creative team would take Iron Man and see kind of what they were going to do with him. And I, I really enjoyed this, and I am really looking forward to seeing what they go with it, because I'm really intrigued by the concept of taking Tony back to kind of basic, almost kind of gearhead kind of mentality of what to do with his armor and how to kind of handle things. This is very much trying to figure out the creative team, how they're trying to center Tony and what they're going to try and do with him. And I'm very looking forward to it. And I'm like, wow, this is really going to be something that I think is going to do some interesting things with Tony. So that off the bat with the story with what we've got, I'm like, okay. And this is a beefier kind of issue, and of course, it costs more, but I think that they did a good job setting up what they're trying to do with him, with having great art with it as well. Because with Tony, you have, when you're doing an Iron Man comic, you need good people art and good armor art. And we got some good armor art and good people art in this one. I'm like, oh, because we start off and we see that Tony is using the Extremis armor to fight Terrax, and we get kind of like this whole kind of monologue of like talking about like cars and what he's trying to kind of do and how he's kind of trying to center himself. We see him dealing with Terrax. We see him using his new AI boss, pretty much getting himself extricated from his Stark company, and it's like billions of dollars, and he's able to kind of reinvest it in the market and everything. And Terrax is like, what are you talking about? And he blasts him pretty much out of the solar system, taking out a satellite as well. And one of the funny things in this issue is that we also see him kind of like using Twitter and everything, and how just fucking stupid Twitter can be sometimes. Even going to the point of, at the end of the issue, him deleting his account because he is just talking about things, but a lot of people are trolling him. Now, granted, there are good things on Twitter, and there's a lot of good conversations, but Tony's whole interactions of what's going on with this issue, I'm like, oh shit, yeah. But it also reinforces the idea of, yes, Tony is into technology and everything like that, but him trying to retool himself and get to the parts that are more important. Not that Twitter is not important to some people, but with what he's trying to do, it's really not. So we see that he does that. We see that somebody interviews him about like what he's doing. He's like, yeah, I'm doing all this, getting rid of that, just trying to get back to kind of like me and what I need to do and everything. And of course, they're bringing up like all the weapons that have been used and all that kind of thing of, okay, you made all these things, his kind of responsibility to that. And he's like, also about him getting out of technology, he's like, well, maybe like machines should build machines, that I'm trying to find like the human thing now. And it's like, interesting, let's kind of see how that goes. He also gets to a part where he decides to move to New York. I'm like, that's interesting. And because he brought up, of course, this Malibu house and everything like that. And we see that he pretty much sold that, had Rhodey pack up his armors and everything. He's driving a Cobra, and he's like, yeah, maybe we should take you to LAX and everything, because he kind of like gets messed up with that car as it kind of crashes a little bit. And we see he gets to like this brownstone house that he's gotten in New York. We see that Janet comes by and says, I thought I'd tell you face to face that it's over, I moved on and everything. Like, cool. Now, granted, I was intrigued to see what they were going to be doing with Janet, but I understand that they're trying to do their own thing here, and at least they gave us something of them being like, yeah, I think we're going to just part ways. Very effective, and at least they gave us the time of that, instead of it just being a throwaway line. I'm glad that they did that. So, we shift on, and we see that, like, he decides to throw a party at this house. Is like, yeah, am I a New Yorker yet? And Twitter being like, screw you, you son of a bitch, pretty much. And he's just trying to kind of figure out everything. And all of them are pretty much trying to get him to do freelance work for him. Well, not freelance work, but like, yeah, freelance work. Have him on retainers. Listen, the engineers need help. We'll pay you $20 million and stuff like that. So this dude, now granted, that is a nice chunk of change, but this guy's got like 65 billion that he's gotten out of his exit package from the Stark Unlimited. Woo! And he's just like, no, I'm good. And we see Patsy Walker, Hellcat pops up. It's like, yeah, this everybody fawning over to touch the hem of garments of Tony Stark and everything, and people are like, he's still like talking with all these tech people and everything like that. And she's like, why are you kind of doing this? He's like, it's just like the reputation and everything. It's kind of hard to pretty much have people take you seriously when you your reputation's like, yeah, you're just a piece of crap, pretty much, or just talk crap and everything. And he's like, well, listen, I kind of want to show you something. And of course, we see that someone else pops up. It's like, Tony, can I talk to you about something to change everything? That this dude can capture lightning and store it indefinitely. Pretty much a really good source of energy and everything. And he's like, wow, lightning's really cool. Calls himself Fuller Tilehard. And Tony's like, if something happens, call me and everything. And he just goes up, goes down. We also see this card that he'd gotten because he decided to go for this 1978 Dodge Aspen, and he decides to take it out and race it. And he's like, nope, not a cop. $5,000. He goes and races this dude and loses. He's like, wow, that dude knows what he's doing. And it's just showing us that he's trying to get into a different kind of headspace. You could pretty much be like that this is a kind of midlife crisis thing, but I mean, he's gone through a lot of stuff. He's deleted his own mind majorly once. Granted, he's probably done it a couple times before. He got pretty much killed and brought back during the Second Civil War, so he's trying to kind of, and he had the idea that he was an AI in the previous story arc, so this is him trying to kind of find out who he is, which you periodically have to ask yourself that every once in a while. And of course, he goes down. Patsy's like, oh, nice car. He's like, no, this isn't what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you. And shows him the armor. She, of course, makes the smart aleck remark, oh, you're Iron Man. Oh, you're really funny. And he puts it on, and it's pretty much very much like his original golden red. I really like it. Now, I'm usually more partial to, like, I saw the Extremis one, I saw the Bleeding Edge, because that's like a nice natural evolution, and I still really like this armor because we don't know exactly all else that this can do. It's very much the suit kind of armor, and I really kind of like the retro feel of it too, kind of, even though Patsy Walker is kind of like making kind of not light of it, but like she was being funny, like, oh yeah, it fits in the suitcase and everything, and he just puts it on really quickly, and it just looks fucking nice. The artwork for it, I'm like, chef's kiss kind of thing. It's just, that's what I want out of like Iron Man art, and I'm like, damn, let's kind of see what this goes for. He's like, yeah, you want to kind of go out and patrol and stuff, and you bring your costume? And she's like, yeah, hell yeah. And I'm like, I'm really interested to see more of Tony interacting with Hellcat and just seeing where it goes. They don't have to pair up or anything, but I like them talking about things and their interactions and everything. I'm going, all right, because evidently they have a very big history to get, well, not a big history, but a longer history of like, yeah, I knew you when you were just a dude in a metal suit. And they go up and they kind of talk. He's like, I've been trying to figure out who I am. And she kind of makes fun of it, but she's like, listen, I know you're trying to do this, but you still got the ego. It's like humility with your ego. You got to try to like figure out what you're doing here and why you're doing it. And I'm like, yeah, and we can't wait to kind of see that. He's like, yeah, there's a helicopter on the library. I don't get that metaphor. So they go off and we see that one of these older vintage villains, Unicorn, is trying to take a book from there. And he starts spouting out stuff about the other monotheistic deity kind of stuff, and starts like shooting laser beams from like his head at him. And this action seems pretty good. I'm like, all right. Hellcat kind of gets a little bit screwed up, but Tony's able to kind of like take him out and has Boss kind of try and help figure out what's going on. Now, granted, at first he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but they're able to kind of knock him out. It's like he's able to bash him out of the helicopter, keeps damage minimal, got the book. He's like, yeah, we'll kind of have to see what's going on. But then he gets hit out of nowhere with pretty much a lightning blast. It's like, what the hell? And of course it destroys the book. Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what was going on with that because lightning's cool. And he of course had tweeted that like one of the Gutenberg Bibles was destroyed, and they're like, "Oh, you enjoyed it and everything," and he deletes the Twitter, and we see that the Fuller guy is looking on, so he is involved with it. It's like, ooh, we can't wait to see what's kind of going on with this. I really like this setup of Tony kind of trying to figure out who he is and what he wants to do, and what he wants to do with his armor, and who he wants to kind of be. Granted, we have had these kind of questions and everything asked before, but I like the setup. I like this art style. I kind of like where this story is starting off of, and I can't wait to see kind of where it goes next and what kind of interesting things he's going to do to combat this new threat, because that lightning bolt came out of nowhere, and it's just lucky that he was able to take it. What if it gets into a point where it's built up to be something that he can as easily defend against? And what's he going to do then with this new kind of mindset? Granted, he will probably build something, but how's he going to build it? What's he going to do with it? Since he's going with this more kind of gearhead mentality, which isn't that different from somebody doing a technological thing, but there's different kind of approaches taken to it. So I'm interested to see what those approaches are. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.